Good morning, Keith Tebow with you here on FRC Media. Pleased to be joined, as we are every Thursday, with the Mayor of City of Fall River, Mayor Paul Coogan. Mayor, how are you today?
Doing well, Keith. How about you?
I am doing well, thank you. Last week at this time, we spoke about the city budget, and we were talking about how last week the city council met last Tuesday, the 22nd, and voted to reject the budget. And at that time, you were talking about meeting with the councilors and getting their report on things, how things can be, amended to pass the budget. And then on Friday, the city reached a statutory deadline of 45 days in which the city council needed to act on the budget. It did not. Over the weekend, you issued a press release saying that the budget had been enacted. City council came back this week. There was more back and forth. Tell us a little bit about, in your view, what happened and, how we move forward.
Yeah. Well, as I said last week when I spoke with you, when they rejected the whole budget, I thought that was allowed. I did not know the process that had gone on in the council. My fault. And I figured we'd be meeting with people to work on the budget. But again, I was just rejecting the whole thing right from the get-go, left a bad taste in my mouth. So we sat on it for a few days, and then around Friday afternoon, someone realized that traditionally they received the budget on May 15th. They actually received this budget on May 11th. So their timeline was running out. And they said at 6 o'clock this evening, there is nowhere for them to go. Obviously, it was already the last day. There was no time to call a meeting, and that budget was going to be going into effect in a few hours. But I couldn't believe it because I did not do my homework and realize that the 45-day mandated statute specifically said that that's when that budget goes into effect. And it went into effect Friday. So on Saturday, we met with some people. On Sunday, we met with some people. And then we met with some other people. And the advice we got all the way through was that budget was in effect as of 6:15 on Friday evening. So when I was comfortable enough to believe that that is exactly what happened legally, we issued our statement.
There's been a lot of back and forth, since last weekend and this week. The city council met looking to still get some sort of budget from you in terms of, voting for something before the budget took effect today. And it did take effect today. The attorney that works with the city council said that, even though the charter and the law states the 45 days, there may have still been some wiggle room to have some sort of discussion with the council. Did you think of that at all, to maybe still have some sort of discussion? Because there's going to be a lot of questions moving forward, and I'll ask those in a minute. Was there any discussion at all on your part of maybe sitting down with the council even yesterday to try to get their input and vote on something?
Well, the lawyers that assured me, they said there was no wiggle room, that the budget went into effect after 45 days. I mean, I think she was using terms like that because those are not listed in the Fall River City Charter or listed in the Mass DOR regs. Those aren't legal terms. This is a legal process. The budget has guidance from both the state of Massachusetts and the Fall River City Charter. It's very specific about how this process is going to go. It doesn't say may, it says shall. And shall in the legal world is like must. So I don't know where wiggle room is defined. I did not know about this process, or I would have told you about it on Tuesday until the last minute. And obviously there was not much I could do with that at that late stage of the game.
All right, the city council, still has some questions, and there are some unanswered questions that the council still needs to weigh in on. One of it is they feel that they need to approve the $4.5 million that the city is looking to implement in terms of some of that ARPA money for lost revenue. They also need to vote on some capital items in terms of one-time money that needs to be used. Let me just ask you, is the city willing to make any adjustments if, for some reason, the city council does not approve those allocations that still need to be voted upon?
Well, that's if you're assuming that that's what you think, that what they're telling you is accurate. To tell you what we did yesterday when we were talking to DOR is, I'm pretty sure that ARPA money they don't have to vote on. The capital money they do have to vote on. We got guidance yesterday around the clock on the items that they brought up specific to revenue in the budget. They work, their side is appropriations, so that's where they're supposed to live in that lane. Revenue is our side. But to be fair, we did ask those questions, and we did get the question that the 1.6 million for capital improvements does have to get a 6-3 vote in the council. The ARPA money is allowed.
And does that also include the money for water and sewer? I know that's also a part of it. That using some of that one-time money from retained earnings, that also need that 6-3 vote as well?
No, that with the water and sewer rates, I think that's what you're talking about. I'm not sure, but those still have to go in front of the council, but they're not part of the budget.
But I thought that the
They're
water and
separate.
sewer department was also looking at using one-time money to help offset a more of an increase in terms of
Oh yeah,
sewer rates.
the
Does that need
water,
to be?
obviously water and sewer and ARPA is the golden child of the bill. They're allowed to use it for a ton of things, and I think we may use some ARPA money in creative ways to keep the rates a little lower for the residents and to offset some costs.
You know, a lot has been brought up over the past few days in terms of your relationship with the city council. You have been very forthright with us in talking about how you want to have fruitful dialogue with the council. Has this process at all, do you feel, made a negative impact at all on how you want to move forward with working with the council?
Not for me. I'd like to move forward working with them, but this has been a very, very tedious relationship I've had going with them for a while. I think it's becoming clear now why that might be, but we'll see. Um, it's it's unsettling to me that we call them to come in for meetings. We bring the department heads to sit with them so they can ask their specific questions. And what happens is that we had to meet with the department heads. Well, you should meet with them. You should talk to them. We have them in our conference room to answer your questions about the budget. We call them a number of times. We don't always get callbacks. We don't get answers. They don't come in. So we're in a different situation. But I've been in different situations before, and we're going to keep going. It's a little stressful right now, but at the same time, we're going to follow the laws and the regulations in front of us, and we ask them to do the same.
And that'll also include, any input that they may have, once now that the budget is in place, right? If they have any questions, your door is still open, correct?
Correct. I talked to a number of councilors yesterday, and I told them we can absolutely address some of their concerns going forward if that's possible. Um, I was not in any way, shape, or form interested in going to a 1/12th budget. I was not in any way, shape, or form interested in opening up the budget, but I was interested in working with the councilors. And let's be clear, their job, no matter which description you look at, is to reduce. They can't add money to the budget under any conditions, but they can reduce it. And they've had that budget for 6.5 weeks. And they didn't make a motion to reduce the budget by as much as $1. They talked about these things the other night, the $100,000 and the $7,500 raise. That was never brought to the table. Neither of those councilors said to their colleagues, "Hey, listen, I don't think someone should get a $7,500 raise. Let's cut it." Okay, but that never happened. And my point to that yesterday was in my conversations was there was no $7,500 raise. It was some transfer of the wrong line or anything, but there was no raise for $7,500. But if someone had called me and asked me, we could have got them the answer. As far as the 100,000, I think what happened there was the gentleman that was piloting that program, he left. So it was kind of sitting in a gap, and it was carried over. We're working on getting some answers today. But again, those are the kind of things that are phone calls or follow-ups. Now, if it fell through the cracks, okay, I'll take the blame for that. But at the same time, I don't think not making a motion to reduce the budget by $100,000. I mean, that's all they had to do. And then, if I made the case that it was important, that was on me. But they didn't do that. They just talked about it. And suggestions, they kept saying, well, we made suggestions. Suggestions are on the other side where some of the councilors wanted increases. They wanted an additional person here, an additional person there. And now they know that they can't increase a budget. But at the same time, those suggestions are important, and we should be able to work with them on those.
All right, let's move forward now. What a difference a year makes. Last year at this time, we were talking about how there weren't any events for the community to take part in because of COVID. People were able to go outside and do things on their own. But there's a lot of things coming up for the city of Fall River and its residents to enjoy. Let's start, of course, with this Sunday, the 4th of July events down at the waterfront. There's going to be a lot of events happening beginning, depending on what park you're at, either Heritage State Park or Bicentennial Park, before the fireworks at 6 p.m. Fill us in on what people can expect.
Well, down at Heritage, we'll probably just have a disc jockey playing some upbeat music with some food trucks along the outside of the park there, so people can, hang around and listen to some music while they're waiting for the fire trucks. I mean, for the fire trucks, for the fireworks. I think the fire trucks, hopefully they're already there. But the fireworks at Bicentennial in front of the Iwo Jima Memorial will have a combination of Our Lady of Light Band Club and St. Cecilia's Band Club forming a big 40-piece band to play patriotic music for an hour before, and then we'll kick off the fireworks around 9. So we anticipate those to be a very friendly, family-friendly thing that gives them something going on down on the waterfront for the 4th of July evening. And again, as you said, Keith, we couldn't do anything last year, so having this should be fun, and it should be an exciting night for people.
And another great event you just announced yesterday in cooperation with the Narrows Center is a series of concerts. They're going to be taking place every Wednesday beginning next week at 4 parks, and that's going to bring, again, more concerts to the region, and as well as, again, some food and some other activity, some art activity as well. So, again, great community event for all of the residents.
Right. I mean, thanks to Pat Norton and the Narrows. Let's look at that. We're going to have a classical pianist playing in the Poulos Park, or what used to be called the Etna Street Playground, or at Griffin Park, or a jazz group while kids can work on art projects under the instruction of an artist. Those are another good series of event. We'll bring an ice cream truck there or a Dell's truck and let the kids enjoy the night. It's different. It's something new, and that's going to go on for 8 Wednesdays across 4 parks. Last night I was at Kennedy Park. Bobby Bailey kicked off his basketball league. I think he had 170 people sign up for that league. It was really popping down there. There was a lot of parents. There was a lot of students. There was a lot of former Durfee students that were now volunteer to coach, referee, take registrations. The whole community was pitching in to get this basketball program off the ground. I'm going to post some pictures later. It was really exciting, because when I was there, it was still the elementary kids were playing, and to see those guys running around on a hot night like that while their parents were trying to duck in the shade was really, really positive. It was a good night in Fall River last night.
Yeah. All right, Mayor, I appreciate your time. Have a great holiday this weekend. We'll talk again next week. Take care.
You too, Keith. Thank you.
All right. And thank you for joining us here at FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great time, and we'll talk to you again next week.